Continuing on with our discussion with how you can make your people happy at a workplace, right? People. So we have a misconception in the minds of young people that a job is all about money. Like when you go to work, yes, you need money, you need a good salary. But the companies which are on top of the success ladder, they are there, and for n number of reasons we discussed. But look at one specific example. We gave you Zappos, right? How Zappos is looking after its employees. What Google is doing for its employees. I mean, the Googlers means people who work for Google. I don't know whether there is a word like that, but I just made it up. Okay, these are the people who work for Google. Look at some of the benefits that they get. Gourmet food for free. You understand gourmet food, right? Wi-Fi enables shuttle services. Now, Wi-Fi may not be a thing which you look for today, but still, there are people who run on very tight mobile phone budget. For them, even Wi-Fi is important, right? Motorized scooters to get around in the Google campus. Car washes and oil changes. These are expensive, you know. You may imagine car wash. India, it is quite cheap. A car wash, I don't know how much it is. 500. One good car wash in Australia will cost you minimum $100. If a human washes your car. If you take it to an automated car wash, it will cost you around $25–30. Right? So if some company is paying for that, means it is saving you some money. Right? So it's a benefit. So all we are saying is, you can hold on to employees who are qualified, who are competent, by paying them well and other benefits. That is important. So when you negotiate your salary, I'm not an expert in that. Negotiate your money plus other benefits. That is important. Don't fall into the trap of getting only salary. Right? So these are some of the benefits that Googlers get. If they get up to 6,000 if they buy hybrid cars. You know hybrid cars, right? Petrol plus, electric mixed. Unlimited sick leaves. Have you heard of unlimited sick leaves? Every organization has limited sick. Even my university has limited sick leaves. Unlimited sick leaves. These are the benefits. Free flu shots. A gym to work out. A pool to do laps with lifeguard. See, these are all the benefits. Can you imagine the benefits? And I'm not saying that every company have the resources to have these benefits. But companies can make an effort to think of ways in which you can create value for your employees, right? So right in session 1 we said, managing service is all about creating value, not only for your customers, but also for your employees. Every little thing that you do for your employees is a value creation for the employee. And the employee will stick to you. The employee will give you your flesh and blood for you, the company. Right? And the list goes on. Different companies have different benefits. It's just one example, right? So we did service triangle last day, right? So these are the 3 ends. It's critical. We will quickly skim through it. Each arm of a triangle is a specific type of marketing. So for example, between the provider, this provider is the employee, by the way, okay? The provider is the employee. Between employee and customer, we call this as interactive marketing. Between company and the employee, we call it internal marketing. Now, most people engage in external marketing. But companies like Google and Zappos, they engage in internal marketing. Internal marketing means I treat my employees as my customers. Employees are called internal customers. That's internal marketing. External marketing is all about making promises, right? Say for example, if you are Hilton Hotel, you will say you will have the best possible vacation at Hilton. That's the promise. If you are Google, you will say I'm the best place to work for. And if you are a product, for example, you'll say, oh, I'm the best TV. Buy me. So that is the promise. Now, as a company or as a service manager, your job is to remember, what is your promise? What is your promise to the customer? Right? For example, I went to Barista today morning. I try to bring you back to a small organization. So it's easy to relate to, right? I went to Barista to get a coffee. What is the promise of Barista? That every time a customer comes, I make a good cup of coffee for the customer. That's the promise of the company. Now, service management is all about, how do I keep that promise? How do I enable that promise? So this guy was so nice. He asked me in Hindi, do you want it strong? I said, yes, I want it strong. And then I said, I want extra hot also. He took every effort to make a good cup of coffee. And that is the bottom part, delivering the promise. And employees or the companies, when they design the benefits, they enable the promise. Because you enable it for your employees who serve the customer. So it's a three-way relationship. Please take it when you serve or when you are in a capacity to serve. Right? So service management is all about what? This thing doesn't work sometimes. Promise management. And this is not a word only. Let me give you a quick example and then we'll move on. Say for example, let's go back to our Zappos example. What is the promise of Zappos if you buy a shoe from Zappos website? What is the promise? What is the promise? Come on, I told you Zappos for half an hour. Deliver wow. So every time you order something from Zappos, the promise is you will have a wow experience. So I will do everything in my power to create that wow experience. That's all that is in service management. If you have made a promise, right? So if Amazon makes you a promise that I will deliver this birthday cake at 3 p.m. or before 3 p.m., it must reach before 3 p.m. That's delivering the promise. So everybody makes the promise, right or wrong? Every company makes a promise. You agree with me? Right from the small, medium to large companies. Everybody makes a promise that I am the best, I will give you the best product, I will serve you the best. But making the promise is just one part of the equation. It's how you enable the promise and how you keep the promise. Until unless you fulfill this equation, you can never become a service company. You can never become a successful service company. So it's all about promise. It's not only qualified word. It's not human-human relationship. And I might have told you that service managers, the best companies in the field of services are the companies which have human values, which go back to human-human relationships and try to translate it in the business language. Brings the family spirit, brings the relational aspect. It's no story, that's the practice. There are enough examples to show that. Does it make sense? Where are our other friends? They're still having break? Still drinking coffee? Anyways, let them drink coffee. That's good. Any questions, comments on this? We'll skip all of this. It's just whatever I told you, it's all written in the slides. If you want the slides, I'll ask Tanzin to give you the slides. Only if you want it. There is no free service here. I mean, so the other thing that is important, and this is one framework I want you to take along with service triangle. So you learned one framework which is service triangle. The other framework that we are learning now is called the service profit chain. What did we start with today? There are two critical things that are important for a service business. The culture of the company and the service mindset. But you may ask, I have the culture, I have created the mindset. Where is the money? Where is the profit? Because if you don't make money, you don't survive as a business, right? And that's the no-brainer. So there is research evidence to show that if you serve, you make profit. But there is a model, there is a framework through which we do that. So we'll look at the framework rather than this thing. So look at this framework from left to right. Okay? Look at this framework from left to right. and look at the arrows. Most of us are trained to read from left to right. Am I right? Except for some languages, which reads from right to left. But this is English, so we are reading from left to right. Okay? And the diagram is left to right. There is a demarcation here. I want you to see from left that as an organization or as a service company, am I guarding you? You can move there. You can move there as well. Is that alright? So as a service company, how do you make, what is the golden rule? What is the golden rule that we learned last day? Happy employees, happy customer. Treat your customers the way you want to be treated. If you want to be treated well as a customer, treat the customers well as. That's the golden rule. But you need to be happy first. You know, in airplane they say, first you put your mask before you help others. Right? You need to be happy first here before you can make others happy. And that's the principle that most of these successful service companies use. So if they focus on employee satisfaction. So what Tanzin taught you is external service quality, this value. I'm taking a step back. That to create external value, you need to first create internal value. Means make employees happy. How is my current employer making me happy? They have given me generous money to travel. Because they know if I travel, I create value for them as well as for myself. Right? They have given me an attractive title. Right? So that I can market myself. I'm a very good marketer. I will easily market myself. And you need to learn that skill set. You should never be ashamed of saying that you're the best. Even if you're not the best. Because they don't know that you are not the best. Do they know? Right? So you must tell that you are the best. Back it up with your skill set. It should not be in vacuum. I'm the best, aata kuch nahi. You should be best at your job, at your skill set. Never hesitate in saying, hey, I'm the best, I deserve that job. I'm the best, I deserve that course. Is it making sense to you? Know your value. How can companies create value for me? Every company has their own way of creating value for their employees. You are satisfied, you are productive. You become loyal. Think about my father. He has spent 35 years at one company. Not necessarily because he was loyal. I know. Because he didn't want to move. Inertia. Right? Inertia has two parts. One is my father, who wouldn't move. Perfectly. He raised a beautiful family. Another inertia is me. I don't know how to stop. If you ever studied Newton's first law, rest day. What is that rest until you move? It doesn't move. And whatever is in motion until you put a stop, it didn't stop. So I'm just a reflection of my father in the other way around. That I keep moving. Someone needs to stop me. And God sent my wife. Right? So employee retention, only this thing happens, then rest of the things happen. Because employees are the front end of a service company. They interact with customers. They make you happy. And if your customers are happy, they say, if you're satisfied, you may be loyal. And if you're loyal, what do? You buy more, repeat business, referral. Referral means what? Recommendation. You tell your friends, hey, that was a beautiful restaurant. Why don't you go and eat there? Hey, that's a good product. Why don't you go and buy that? Right? That's your referral. These are all monetary. This is all money. Referral is monetary, repeat business is monetary, retention is money. So if you do this thing right, it translates to loyal customers, and which is revenue and profitability. And this is not theory, by the way. If anyone is thinking it is theory, this is practice. It is coming from market. We just bring it to the class. There are 30 years of practical research and academic research which provides support to this framework. What does it say? The name is service profit chain. What does it mean? You serve, profits follow. That's the best way to remember. Have a service mindset, profits will follow. Have a transactional mindset, you may have to wind up your business. Look at most successful companies, they are all relational. Most successful service businesses, they are all relational. They all serve. They serve, they make money. Service mindset. Any questions on this? So along with service triangle, this is another key framework that you should have with yourself if you want to run a service business, to manage a service business, or to start a service business. Whatever is your forte, this will serve you. Because this requires a different mindset. And my job as a professor is to change your mindset. Not that you have a bad mindset, but my job is to align it towards services. My job is to align it to serve. Only if you serve, this world is going to be a better place to live. It's not only the job of NGOs. You know NGOs, right? It's not the job of NGOs, social enterprises, to change the world. It's for-profit companies can also change the world if they just change their mindset. Right? You don't have to be a charitable organization to change the world. You can quote me anywhere. You can be a for-profit business. At the same time, you can make a difference in the society just by having a mindset of serving. That I serve my customer, I serve my employees, I serve the society the best possible way. At the same time, I make money. Right? You need to make money. But how you make money is important. Right? Any questions on this? Quick example and then we'll go to the second session. Four Seasons Hotels. I cannot not talk about this company enough. Right? So look at what they do. HR is human resource, right? What they do, their focus is on recruitment, selection, training, measurement. You know, they say, what you cannot measure, you cannot. Do you know this statement? What you cannot measure, you cannot. Fill in the blanks. What you cannot measure, you cannot manage. Write this line. These lines are not mere lines. What you cannot measure, you cannot manage. You can measure happiness, you can measure satisfaction, you can measure loyalty. So whatever you want to manage, have a measurement tool with you. Metrics, you need a measurement metrics, right? So we often talk about referral. Just now I told you, referral value. How do you measure referral? Just a quick example. So referral is measured by a metric called NPS. Make a note. NPS, Net Promoter Score. That's the way you measure word of mouth, right? So we don't have the luxury of time to go through all the measurement. But I'm just exposing you to the mindset that to manage service, you must measure certain matrices so that you know where you are going right, where you are going wrong, right? And some of the successful companies, or most of the successful companies, are good at measurement, right? And do not forget the recognition. As human beings, our greatest need is people approve us, people recognize us. Am I right or not? Be it in home, be it in family, be it in a relationship, be it in an organization as an employee. If your partner does not recognize you, I would rather say goodbye to that partner. Right? If your family does not recognize your value, I will say rather goodbye to that family. If a company does not value me, I will rather say goodbye to that company and work at a company which values me. Know your worth. Write it and put it in front of your desk. Know your worth. Know your value. Get recognition. No less than recognition will do anything for you. And these companies do exactly the same. Right? Rewards. Right? Who does not like a reward? So don't look for only salaries. Look for what is their reward system. Find them. Ask. If I achieve, for example, sales. I was a salesman in my first job. Universities to sell instruments. That's all of Northeast India. Universities, physics, chemistry, biology, to professors. Right? And what was my reward? My reward was my boss gave me a target, quarterly target. If I achieve that, salary raise every quarter. That was my. It was my first job. And that man, I owe him a great deal of respect. Right? How to open a sales, how to serve after sales. So, engineer, that was my title. I can never forget that title. I was doing sales, and if the instrument goes, they will call me. I will go and fix it. My first job. But I was not only after sales, after training, I was after that man trained me like crazy. 1 year of that job, where I got this, and I enrolled myself into MBA. Most people do first they do MBA, then they do 2 jobs, and then did my MBA. Probably that helps. And an open communication. Any questions on this? Because we will make switch to a different topic now. Where is our lady who was helping me? It's the longest pen I've ever used in my life. But it's a very efficient one. Yes? Did you say something? Okay, before we move on, what are our key takeaways from session 1? We were still with session 1, okay? I don't want to rush with topics. That's not my way of teaching.